October here we did like 5.6k, and in November this was when Chris and his team like came into the account. We did like 76k. In terms of email, you guys were doing everything, and then December blew up. We did like 200k only through email revenue.
All right, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Tadeo. I've been in e-commerce for the past like 2 to 3 years, so not too long. I started working with this guy a couple months ago, and we just wanted to go over some stuff, see if we can help you guys as well.
Yeah, all right, sweet. So yeah, I didn't even know you started ecom like 2 to 3 years ago. The growth
Yeah,
has
it's
been insane. Definitely.
yeah, I know. You tell me, bro. It's been a crazy journey. There's much more ahead. I'm positive about that. But yeah, it's not too long, you know. You see these other guys like, okay, I've been doing for ecom for like 10 years, 20 years, whatever. And yeah, I'm kind of a newbie, but it's been crazy, bro.
You're not definitely not pulling newbie numbers, man. So I'll
Yeah,
tell you that.
thank you, bro. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you.
So I mean, we can get started with like why did you start email marketing? Why do you think it was important? And then we'll go over like revenue numbers and how much you made through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I've always understood like the power of email in general. When you start researching online, when you get into ecom, if you're interested in it, at some point you realize that email is huge. But then
Mhm.
again, there's a thing that happens, I think, where people, including myself, you think, okay, I can do it. How hard can it be?
Yeah.
I guess it happened to me as well with my previous brands. I've never had like a proper email team in place. But this time, the scale of my brand was getting bigger and bigger. So at some point, it was like, okay, I probably need to have a team in place, at least to see what they can do differently, right? And right as soon as I did that, man, I realized how little I knew, bro. So yeah, it's been a crazy.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, we can just do the comparison right now because I think it
Yeah,
makes sense.
absolutely. Should I share
So
my
just
screen?
yeah, go ahead. So we'll
Yeah.
go through the before and after. You can share the
Let's do,
screen. I think you
let's do
have
the
access.
the reveal, bro. The reveal. So this is.
Uh,
Should I go over it, or do you want to go?
yeah, I mean, you can go over it. Like basically, we started working in November, but prior to
Yeah.
that, like let's explain what you used to do, what happened there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see October here, we did like 5.6k, which is like not a lot. And we were doing like, and when I say we, I mean like my team and especially my partner, Willie. Shout out to Willie. We were doing the flows and the campaigns by ourselves. So pretty basic campaigns and flows, like the typical abandoned cart flow and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we were doing that all through 2024, including October. So you can see here, it was like 5K. And then in November, it's when we started looking for help and to have a team in place. And it started picking up. You can see we did like 76K. And this was when Chris and his team like came into the account and they were like starting to get things set up and so on. And then December, between like the increased traffic and the things that Chris and his team did, you can see like it blew up. We did like 200k only through email revenue. So yeah, that was insane.
Fire. And I think you can refresh the screen just to make sure everything's like
Yeah.
proper,
For the
just
for
for
the
others, you know.
non-believers. Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
non-believers.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
And if you want to work with me too, I'll add a link below this video so you can apply.
Basically, yeah, you said we started working in November. That's what happened. I don't really remember the date, but it was like maybe halfway through the month, so a little bit earlier, I think,
Something
even.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But can you like compare your workflow as far as email go when it came to you doing it yourself versus us doing it for you? So your workload, how much hour did you put into it before versus now?
Yeah, so to be honest, it's not like we put a lot of hours into it just because, as I said before, we had only the basic email flows like
Hmm.
abandoned cards, stuff like that. So it wasn't like we were like putting too much effort into it. I think the
Yeah.
biggest lever there was not the time that we saved, but the extra revenue that we got. I think when you guys came in, you started doing things that we didn't even know you had to do or like they were
Yeah.
possible. So I think the biggest lever was there. Uh, But, you know, as soon as you guys came in, we like completely took our hands off the keyboard in terms of email, and we didn't have to worry about anything in terms of email. You guys were doing everything. And anytime we wanted something new, like a new product launch or anything like that, we just like typed, "Hey, Chris, new product launch," boom. And you guys took over it. So that was insane. Like, you compare it to before that, whenever we had to do like a new product launch or something like that, we had to put a lot of hours into it, like creating some design or, you know, making the flows or the campaign or whatever. But after that, when you guys were with us, we just again, like, Chris, this is the new product, do something cool. And then Chris did something cool. So
If I listen to what you were saying properly, right? You had an abandoned checkout before, and a lot of brands know that. Like, they should be implementing some kind of abandoned checkout, abandoned cart.
Here, the audio just got cut off for a second, but I just asked him, why didn't he send more emails himself before working with me?
I think it was more lack of knowledge. I would say,
Yeah.
like, you know, the first thing you learn when you go into ecom and you want to do like the basic flows, the first thing you see online or whatever you do, it's the abandoned cart flows, right? It's supposed to be like the biggest hitter. Right now, I would go as far as to say it's not the most important thing. And if you only know abandoned cart flows, you should definitely be looking for help.
Yeah.
Like, you know, something that knows the other stuff as well.
Even me, like when I talk to people, the abandoned checkout is like, it's the one that is the most obvious. Because, you know, when
Yeah.
you go into Shopify, you have like site sessions and then people who leave at checkout, and brand owners,
Yeah.
when they see the dashboard, it's like, wow, we gotta
Yeah.
fix that. And so when I talk to them, it's like, dude, this is one you need to fix. But obviously, before checkout, you have a lot of other steps at which people
Absolutely.
could
Yeah.
leave the funnel. And
Yeah.
these are the retargetings we put into place. So really just patching up the leaks at like every stage.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah.
most people don't even know about those, like, you know, the entire funnel. They just look at the end of the funnel, like, okay, he left checkout, I have to reach back. But as you say, like, there's a lot of things in between that you should also be aware of. So if you don't know about whatever's in between the funnel, again, you should, you know, ask someone that knows. So
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, now let's just talk about, like, we're not going to reveal the products, to be clear, because we don't want to hurt business. But a lot of people ask me, like, they just have one product. So they have one product listed on their store, and they're like, all right, does email marketing make sense for me? And at the time we got started, you were in that situation too. So can you share a bit more detail about like why it's important to have email marketing in place, even though you just have one product?
Yeah, I mean, I had the same concern. We even spoke about it before you guys came in, I believe. And I think it's natural to have that concern, because if you're not too familiar with email marketing, you might think like, I have only one SKU. So what's the point of, you know, getting a whole team to fix or to help that one SKU? But I think right now, with the things that we've gone through and, you know, all the things I've learned, I think I would say it does not matter how many SKUs you have. Like, it's not a game of SKUs or quantity in terms of like product or collections. I think it's a game of thresholds. Like, if you have a certain amount of traffic, you're doing some decent revenue, and you're not an expert in email, I think if the answer is yes, then do email. It does not matter how many SKUs you have. Even if you have one SKU, you can get a lot more from each customer if you do proper email. So yeah.
Because just making sure like your ads are as profitable as they can be. You know, you just push traffic to your site, and at every stage where they can leave, you just get them back on site. But even if I look at the clients who I run emails for, like the accounts I run, it's like they might have like 50 products in some cases, but really we only push the 3 that are the most profitable. It's like just set up an ad that just works, and then that's what we push. So most people will look at store that are like super massive, and obviously like most of them run email marketing, and it's like they're thinking of themselves as not to that stage yet, so that's why they don't run it.
And I think that happens often, like, you know, comparing yourself to others, seeing these bigger, huge e-commerce brands and saying, okay, they're probably doing email marketing, but I'm not them. I'm not at their level, so I don't need it. I think that's completely the wrong approach. Like, you should be thinking in terms of like, is it gonna make me money? Is it gonna be worth for me? And even if you don't know, just do it 1 month. You can probably afford it if you have an e-com store. So just do it 1 month. And, you know, it will, the same as us will probably happen, where you do 1 month. Like when we started, you remember, it was like a 1 month thing. Okay, let's see where it goes. And then like after like 2 weeks or something, it was like, okay, you guys are in, like, No
Mhm.
more questions, Your Honor. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, if I don't want to like pitch people too hard here, but like a lot of people, like, they'll start email marketing and be like, okay, it's gonna be a 1 month thing. Let's just try it out. And
Mm-hmm.
they'll hop with it. They'll try a guy that's like terrible, and he does a
Yeah.
terrible work. They'll be like, oh, email doesn't work. It won't work for my store. And then it's like you learned the wrong lesson here. It's like you
Yeah.
should just switch your guy. But I think that's fair. Like, try it for 1 month, see the opportunities. Because if you try for 1 month and you are a decent sized store, you should
Yeah.
see some revenue come in the door. So I think
Yeah.
that that's definitely the
But I think you should also be aware of like, you need to have the ability to realize that if results are bad, you should be able to tell if the results are bad because it's not working for you, or is it because
yeah,
it's the wrong operator, right? So,
exactly.
yeah.
hmm So I was gonna ask you, like, before, if you look at how you started email marketing. So right now it was like in November.
Mm-hmm.
Considering like the numbers we did, would you have started earlier, and under what circumstances? Like, looking back at the journey.
Yeah, I would probably have started a little earlier. I still think it was, you know, on the perfect timing, I guess, just
Yeah.
because of Q4 was approaching. I still think I would have benefited of starting earlier, maybe growing the list bigger,
Yeah.
like sooner than later. I still think I was like, we were like right on the edge of the best time, I guess. But as again with the thresholds, like as soon as you have decent traffic, as soon as people are leaving your cart, entering your store, going through the funnel, and you can afford it, I would definitely recommend getting a team in place. Like anytime you think about a time that's perfect to do email, the right time was probably before that. So yeah,
Exactly, because the list could always be
I
better,
know. Yeah,
bigger. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so now is the part where you actually need to pay attention because 2 years ago, Tadio knew nothing about e-commerce and now he's made millions of dollars from it. So I really wanted to ask him what allowed him to scale so quickly and share that with you here.
if you have some gems to leave the audience with, like, just share like one key lesson that you've learned throughout the journey, that'd be massive.
It was definitely crazy, bro. I'm so humbled by the whole process. It's been amazing. It's been a lot of work, obviously, but it's insane. First of all, shout out to my partner Willie. I couldn't have done it without him. And to get into like maybe some takeaways, I guess you need to have the right team in place. Like you will not achieve any decent number if you don't have the right team in place. And this includes not only a potential partner, you can do it by yourself as well, but you need to have
Mhm.
like customer support BAs that know what they're doing. If one is not enough, you need to have 2, 3, 4, as many as you need, especially during Q4, right? Because it's a time where people are gonna message you a lot, send a lot of emails, and the last thing you want to do is be like answering emails instead of doing like the things that actually matter for scaling, right? So yeah, have the right team in place for sure. And then in terms of financials, you should be thinking about your liquidity and your financials way before Q4, because again, if you see that you have the potential to scale, the last thing you want to do is worry about if you have the money you need to scale, right? So get your
Exactly.
financials in place, save some money for Q4, be sure that you can afford to scale if the opportunity comes. um, the opportunity came to us and we had the right money in place for that, so we could take advantage of it. But if you don't have the right money and you're not liquid, it's gonna be an issue, right? And you're gonna be really sad if you can't scale because you don't have the money.
hmm
And then I guess the last thing that I could say is Q4 is the perfect time, at least in our experience, to throw stuff on the wall, see if it sticks. Because the buyer intent is higher, AOB is higher, CVR is higher. All of these metrics that really help if you're trying to push something new, even if you're not sure of it. Like let's say you have a new product launch that you're unsure of, new ad format, whatever you have. If you're not sure, do it during Q4. Then you're gonna see if it has potential or not, and get the right email team in place. Super important, guys. Like
100%.
honestly, this is coming from my heart. I'm not being like silly or cringe. But if you have the right team in place, for us, I was hesitant at first. I really was, like, even I talked to you, Chris, like the first month we were doing like a test or whatever, because I wasn't sure, if I could trust
Yeah.
you guys. Um, but yeah, you should definitely do it. It's been a huge, lever for us, email, and you're gonna be leaving a lot of money on the table if you don't have the proper team. And again, for e-commerce owners and founders like me that think you can do everything, you probably can't. So, get the right people in place. Yeah.
You heard the man. So I'll put a link in the description so you can apply to work with me. It's not going to make sense for everybody, but if I can help you scale, I'll 100% reach out. So go ahead and apply. Cheers.